Serious, hotties of Reddit, when did you discover that you were hot, and how did it affect your personality? I have ugly duck syndrome. I went through a horribly awkward preteen/early teen stage years. I was chubby, had a horrible haircut, was nerdy and socially awkward. I grew a few inches in my later teen years and started working out. Ended up losing lots of weight. I developed better social skills from being in theater and having to deal with awkwardness all the time. Drama kids FTW. I guess I started seeing a difference when I would drunkenly get asked out by guys all the time, or when strangers would compliment me. I didn't see a huge shift in personality, except maybe that I find myself irritating. I still have huge self-esteem issues, except that if I complain about a part of myself I don't like, it comes off as fishing for compliments, when really I actually do still see myself as an awkward 13-year-old. The other thing I've noticed is that I'm super distrustful of guys, because, as cheesy as it sounds, I don't know if guys like me for my personality or I'd love it if a guy was into me for both. But it with my head a lot when someone is really into me, but I can tell they've built me up in their heads to be something as not. Anyways, now I feel like a narcissist, so I'll just stop here. Hope that answered your question. I went through some seriously ugly years in school, like enough to break mirrors and strike fear into the hearts of those who looked upon me. So when I lost weight, grew my hair out, and started wearing more flattering clothes and contact lenses, I was really taken aback by the attention I got. Went from forever alone super virgin to actually having compliments, and random customers/other students flirting. I actually like getting catcalled. I was always self-conscious about my looks, so actually getting attention still boosts my confidence, because I never expect it. Then again, I have massive, so that's probably the only reason. At least my boyfriend thinks I'm hot. Honestly, it's weird. As a guy who has gone from extremely skinny to really fit twice in 3 years, I can tell you it gets uncomfortable. Mainly because the second time around you realize how shallow people are. Little things like acquiring help are easier when you're attractive, but making friends as an attractive guy is probably one of the most belittling things you can experience. People just assume you're a douchebag. End result, you become a bitter douchebag. About 2 years ago is when I found out. It was after a few months of girls latching onto my side that I realized that those girls weren't cuddling me because I was warm. I had always just assumed they were cold. Personality wise not much happened aside from me teasing them a bit when started hugging me. People always used to tell me I was pretty and that I should be a model and whatnot, and I always figured it was bull because I never cared about my appearance until around college. In college though, I did start to try to make myself look nice, and it was actually really horrible what happened afterward. Literally 4 of my closest guy friends, who I had been really close with, came out and said they had always had crushes on me, and although I tried to let them down in the nicest way possible, those relationships just aren't the same. I feel really guarded around them now. I also just started feeling really objectified, and it made me think about a lot of stuff like, I always question if guys are talking to me because they're actually interested in me, or if they just think I'm hot. And I think being valued so much for your appearance is really damaging psychologically too. I never felt this way before, but now suddenly I'm really worried about how people will treat me when I get older and I'm not longer hot and young. It's really depressing, honestly. Ignorance is bliss. I've known I was perceived as attractive since about 9th grade. I got a lot of attention from girls, and it made me arrogant and kind of a. This continued up to 10th grade, where I'd be dating a few girls at the same time without regards to their feelings. I started talking to this one girl. She called me out on my bull and told me that my personality made me ugly. That made me realize that I needed to change. I really liked this girl and didn't want to be someone she despised due to my character. I took a year off from dating and girls to work on myself. I came back my 12th grade year a changed person. I dumped a bunch of friends who I considered toxic, made new ones, and I was more caring for others. I rekindled my relationship with the girl who brought about the changes in me. This year we'll be married for 3 years. I'm very glad she was bossy enough to stand up to the good-looking cool guy on campus. I was never hot at school. I was super nerdy, spotty, and hilariously awkward. Things started changing when I was at college. I got more into music and adopted styles that suited me better and I was comfortable in. I didn't have anything before. I took a year out between college and university, and apparently that's the time I suddenly seemed to just shift. I'd always been quite active and never had an issue with my body, but my younger teen problems started to fade. I was more styled and comfortable within myself, and suddenly people were hitting on me. Before I was 17 I could probably count on one hand the amount of people who genuinely tried to hit on me or express interest. Compared to the more popular kids I was invisible. Some girls simply took puberty in their stride and were glamorous and attractive right through school. When I got to university, I was really taken aback with the interest I seemed to get. Probably didn't help I was one of only a handful of girls on my course, but everywhere I went I was getting all this attention that I'd never experienced before. I was still brutally shy at this point, but it at least gave me confidence that just maybe, I was actually attractive for the first time in my life. I certainly attribute some of it to the fact that everyone is simply getting hornier at that age compared to school, but I was genuinely starting to accept I was probably more attractive than I gave myself credit for. It didn't exactly help me come out of my shell though. If anything, I probably got even more shy and used the small circle of friends I had as barriers. I went my entire first year single despite numerous, and even repeat, advances from some guys. I had never been a social person, and suddenly being thrust into a spotlight, I had no idea how to handle it, so I simply didn't for a while. The more friends I got, however, I got more relaxed and more willing to be in social situations without clinging to a handful of people. It was a really awkward time for me trying to adjust, but it's interesting to look back and laugh at myself now for being so reclusive and timid. I'm now much more at ease with people. I can meet new people and actually act like a normal human being. I had a weird teens. Currently just shy of 20. I was overweight and rather nerdy, and into, and still am, things like D&D and gaming and such, so girls didn't really give me much attention. I started gymming at around 16 and taking more interest in grooming and fashion sense, and developed really well, made first team rugby and such, and I got more attention in high school, but nothing over the top. Seemed to be an average amount, but nothing to make me think I must be good looking. Anyway, I went overseas for a year, first year out of school, and started dating this really good looking girl over there, who I knew prior to coming over though, so dating her gave me a confidence boost, and it started happening from then on. I was being hit on a lot overseas, perhaps because I wasn't such an awkward turtle anymore, thanks confidence, and it gave me a lot more knowledge that people thought I was attractive. I came home at the beginning of this year and started bartending at a local club, and now I get this absurd amount of girls coming up to me and complimenting me, buying me drinks, and full on hitting on me, and being really open about their intentions and what they would like to do to me. Often finding friend requests from lots these girls on Facebook the next day and texting me. Within 3 weeks of working at this bar, I was scouted for modeling by a local agency. In a sense, one of their models asked for a selfie with me and then showed it to agency, and they ended up contacting me. I thought maybe it was just drunk girls being drunk girls at first, but not anymore. All of this combined makes me feel good about myself, and now in day-to-day life I get a lot of compliments because perhaps I seem like a more approachable and happier person. So it's really given me this confidence boost, and I definitely feel more good about myself, which carries through to everyday things, which is great. Friends and family say they can see I'm a far more happier / outgoing person. Edit. Remove links of pics cause I had some creepy stalkers. I'm fairly certain that this will get buried, but who knows. I was the stereotypical late bloomer. I was chunky, wore glasses, had messed up teeth, and was a half a foot taller than all the other kids in my class, both boys and girls, until puberty set in. But even then it took forever for any of the boys to catch up with me. I was bullied, picked on, and pretty much tormented through middle school for being the loud, obnoxious smart girl. When I was growing up in my small town in the early to mid 90s, girls were basically supposed to shut up, be pretty, and agree with what the boys had to say. I had a problem with this, so my childhood was rather uncomfortable to say the least. Luckily, I was rather brainy, and I had a few good friends who were equally as awkward. I just kind of stayed with my crew of misfits from elementary school until 8th grade, idolizing the popular kids and jocks. And then puberty struck hard. I developed boobs. My bad perm grew out, and I started using Sunin, so I could be blonde like my mom. I got contacts. I started getting self-conscious about my new body, since I grew another 3 inches, and was now tall with some curves I had no idea what to do with. All of the "you're fat" taunts started making a lot more sense, because hey, here are 2 fat lumps that came out of nowhere. I guess I really am fat. That led to a lovely eating disorder or 2, and I dropped all of my baby fat, gave up trying to starve myself, and started exercising, and being careful of what I ate. I started high school about 20 pounds lighter, and 4 inches taller than I was in 7th grade. I was now 5 feet 11 and thin with a nice set of C's. The senior boys went ape over me. I had no idea what to do with myself, since I was still a nerd at heart, and hung out with the same smart kids who had befriended me in elementary school. They had no idea what to do with me, because suddenly I didn't look like them. It was a really hard year. Thankfully, I was accepted by the drama geeks and some of the people who had always been ambivalent to the know-it-all nerd girl. Now I was cute and funny, since a personality had to develop in me during middle school, since being pretty hadn't been an option. High school became tolerable and college was even more fun, because I got braces to fix my teeth. However, I'm only speaking about male attention at this point. Guys wanted to sleep with me. Girls were wary of me for sure. Gay guys were fantastic. Even with my jacked up teeth, people thought I looked a little like Jewel, I guess, so it became kind of a cute quirk. Once the braces came off, when I was 23 was when got real. All of a sudden the super hot guys who would have never given me the time in HS were all over me, whispering sexy things to me, buying me drinks, offering to help me move. It was surreal. It was uncomfortable. It made me a bit sick to my stomach at times, because it was so confusing how people could be so superficial. With all of this being said, I don't think I'm hot. I'm reasonably attractive. I would say I'm a solid 7. I have been told I'm hot though, and even though I don't fully believe it, I figured this might help some of you who are legitimately interested in this type of transformation. I'm obviously much better looking than I was, so that counts, right? My husband thinks I'm beautiful, and so do my children. That's all that really matters. I still have the same best friend that saved me from HS purgatory, and she probably thinks I'm A-ite, lol. As an adult now with a daughter of my own, I hope every day that she develops a brain and a heart before her looks come in. Because if genetics have anything to do with it, and based on how damn cute she is at 7 months old, she's gonna be a looker. My son is also adorable, so hopefully it will be a good ride for him too. Me at age 11 at the peak of my awkwardness. Me today. Found out a couple of years ago, I had that awkward teenage phase where all my limbs were too long and my nose was huge. I've always been a bit too skinny. When I was about 17 to 18, my body parts sort of evened out. I got a haircut, started buying clothes that were actually my size, and started using contact lenses instead of glasses. People notice me a lot now. Strangers come up to me and comment on my looks, or ask me for my number. I get stared at a lot. I get catcalled a lot. My friends tell me I'm beautiful all the time. Some people seem to automatically assume I'm stupid, even though I'm well educated. 7 years at uni. I king hate it. I've never felt beautiful. I can almost feel grotesque some days. I feel like it's all just lies, and that someone's gonna jump out and scream psych soon and tell me that I'm really as ugly as I feel. I tend to try and hide my face behind big sunglasses, and I often wear shawls wrapped loosely over my head, because most of the time I just want to be left alone. It's great when you want to get into a club though, and I rarely have to pay for alcohol, because I've always got a couple of men standing by waiting to buy me drinks. Even though I tell them I'm gay. Oh well,